Tonight's story comes from someone who answered an ad for a cheap rent in Liverpool, a perfectly normal terraced house, except the landlord had one unusual warning. Previous tenants have reported paranormal activity. Most would have laughed. She didn't. It was 2015. I'd just moved back to Liverpool after a rough breakup. I was broke, desperate, and needed anywhere to live. I found a listing on Rightmove, 3-bedroomed house in Toxteth, £91 a week. I thought it was a typo. It wasn't. The landlord met me outside. He looked nervous, said the place has a history. You'll hear things, just ignore it. I laughed, thought it was one of those weird old Scouse jokes. First night, I unpacked a few boxes around midnight. I heard footsteps upstairs. Thing is, I lived alone. That first week was full of little things. Lights flickering, TV switching off, doors opening. My cat refused to go upstairs, just sat on the bottom step, growling. I told myself it was old wiring, drafts settling noises, but then came the scratching. It started in the walls, low and slow, like something with claws, every night at 3:12 a.m. on the dot. It gets worse. On the 7th night, I was awoken by a bang so loud I thought a car had hit the front of the house. I ran downstairs. Nothing, no damage, just cold air, so cold I could see my breath. I climbed back into bed, and that's when I saw it, a shape standing in the hallway, outside my room, too tall. Its face looked smudged, like someone had dragged their thumb across a photograph. I started calling it the Pickwick Man. He never moved, just stood there staring. I stopped sleeping, slept with the lights on. Called an electrician. He refused to go up into the attic. Said something didn't feel right. Left halfway through the job. Then, one night, it touched me. I woke up one night, levitating, my whole body weightless, lifted 2 feet off the mattress. I couldn't scream, I couldn't move. It held me there like I was a toy, then dropped me hard. Real desperation started to set in. I tried burning sage, playing prayers, even left salt at the doors. Nothing helped. I reached out to a local paranormal group, but they refused to come. One guy messaged me back. Is it the Pickwick house? We don't touch that one anymore. I was desperate, so I started digging. I found some news articles, reports going back to the 1880s. Whole street once thought to be cursed. Even the housing association admitted the place had a reputation. People said it was built on marshland, Celtic burial ground, a gateway. Some even thought it wasn't a ghost, but something older, like some sort of entity. I had reached my breaking point. My breaking point came when I woke up to find writing on the bathroom mirror. I hadn't been in there yet. It just said, I never left. Late that night, I saw the Pickwick Man again. This time closer, just a foot from my bed. Face still wrong. I closed my eyes, told myself it wasn't real. Then I heard him whisper, come in, I've been waiting. The next morning, I packed and left, slept in the car for 3 days. The aftermath coming when I handed the keys back. The landlord just nodded and said, didn't last long then. like it was normal. I checked the listings months later. It's still up, still cheap. Still has the same disclaimer. I wonder who lives there now. I wonder if they see him, the man in the hallway, the one with no face, the Pickwick man. Pickwick Street's midnight whispers aren't new. Since the 1880s, residents reported rattling doors, shaking foundations, and unexplained phenomena. Hauntings that seem to wander from house to house along the road. In 2008, a motionless spirit turned active. One former tenant described being lifted out of her bed by an unseen force. Another house on the street shook so violently the occupant thought it might have collapsed. Mrs. Euphemia Nimloch, who reportedly lived at number 69, claimed she was lifted clean out of her bed by something violent and unseen. She described it as more than a bump or a push. The entire room shook, shaking pictures off walls. She later said the house sounded like it was tearing itself apart around her. She stated, "It felt as if my entire body weight was being pulled upwards. The shockwave went right through the mattress. I was screaming, but no sound came out." Paranormal investigator and author Tom Sleeman suggests the Pickwick Poltergeist is no ordinary ghost. It's violent, migratory, and bound to the land beneath the terraces. Toxteth was built on an old bogland feared by ancient Celts as a gate between worlds. The young mum tells of her horror at living with the Pickwick Poltergeist. The Liverpool Echo once reported, I quote, "A young mum who lived in a haunted house in Toxteth has described how she ran out of a house terrified after seeing a ghostly apparition appear in a picture of her son." Now a former tenant claims to have captured the ghost on film after taking a picture of her son in the house. Lakeisha Davis, 26, lived in the house for 3 years with her 2 young children and always suspected there was something spooky about the property. After taking a picture of her son, the mum of 2 says she noticed what appeared to be a little boy in the background of the photograph. She said, "If you look at the photo, it looks like there's a little boy in the background. He's facing the wall. It was spooky because it was only myself and my son in the house. There was no one else here." Local paranormal expert Tom Sleeman claims there are reports of 135-year-old poltergeist hauntings in various houses in the street. He said that a violent spirit had once gone as far as to lift a woman out of her bed and shook a house so much that one tenant thought it was going to collapse. The experience left the 26-year-old unable to sleep in her own room after spending 3 years living there. She said, "I've always believed in ghosts. My nan used to tell me all about them, but I'd never been scared of them. I wouldn't ever sleep in my own room in the house, though, as I always felt uneasy in there. I didn't like going over to it. It was a cold house, and I used to spend a fortune on gas, and now I realise that's probably because of the ghost." Mum of 2, Lakeisha, moved into Toxteth property as her first home, but claims that living with what she believes is a ghost ruined the experience for her. She says she would hear unexplained noises, and on one occasion claims a drinks bottle was flung across the room independently, violently. She said on one occasion my daughter Malika was shouting and screaming for me, and when I went upstairs she said someone had slammed her door shut and it frightened her. Another time, my mum and sister were there, and a Lucozade bottle just flew across the room on its own. At the time, you don't piece these things together, but I have never felt easy in the house and I don't like it, so I decided to move out. Lakeisha says she was shocked to read about her former home in the Echo after he reported the house was up for rent and described as haunted on property website Rightmove. She said, "I couldn't believe it when I saw it in the Echo. I've been saying it for years that the house was haunted. I phoned my mum straight away. Local paranormal expert Tom Sleeman revealed there have been stories about a very unusual poltergeist on Pickwick Street that date back to the 1880s. A landlady connected to the letting of number 69, a Mrs. Euphemina Nimloch, was also lifted out of her bed by the same violent spirit, and that another neighbour, Ishmael Jones, number 70, was under the impression the house was going to collapse because of the vibrations." One retired police officer's story: "I was a constable back in 1997. We were sent to number 67 Pickwick Street, noise complaint. Woman said she heard screaming, furniture smashing and something rattling the walls like thunder. Thought it was a domestic violence call out. At first, I was first through the door. The house was unlocked but pitch black inside. We shouted police, no answer upstairs. Every door was wide open except the back bedroom. That door was rattling, not just shaking, slamming back and forth like someone was trapped behind it. I remember thinking, must have been the wind, until I noticed every window was nailed shut. The moment everything changed, I reached for the handle and it just stopped. The door went completely still, not a sound. Then we heard it, footsteps on the ceiling, slow, deliberate, heavy boots, like someone pacing in the attic above. Only problem, the hatch was padlocked. We checked it ourselves. No one could have gotten up there. We radioed for backup, did a full sweep, found nothing, not a sign of forced entry, but I'll never forget what I saw on the wall of that back bedroom. It was scratched into the paint dozens of times, the same 3 words over and over: let me out. I filed the report, but it got buried. My sergeant said people make up all kinds of crap when they're scared. Maybe, but I know what I heard. I never went back to Pickwick Street, even when I was still on the job. If that radio call came up again, I'd let someone else take it. A uniformed officer, a government-trained eyewitness, and even he wouldn't return. Whatever is in that house doesn't want to be seen, it wants to be remembered. I'm Mr. Strange, and this was another Liverpool ghost story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more spooky tales of Liverpool's past.